Whenever we choose to push our limits or try a new maneuver, there is a statistical certainty. Eventually, we are going to hit the mat. We love a highlight reel. We easily applaud the final, triumphant landing, but we tend to look away from the bruising, chaotic reality of the crashes that actually made that landing possible. This graphic lays out a harsh truth. Courage requires casualties. Taking an emotional or professional risk guarantees you will experience hurt. Falling down is not a character flaw. It is the strict, unavoidable physics of living a full life. Biologically, humans are not thinking machines that occasionally feel. We are feeling machines that happen to think. When we face rejection or failure, our bodies react with hardwired, instinctual emotion before logic even has a chance to boot up. That initial shock, that painful stumble, is a feature, not a bug. It is simply the mandatory tax we pay for the pursuit of innovation, love, and growth. So how do we get back up? This chart outlines a specific three-step sequential roadmap required to recover from a major emotional or professional fall: the reckoning, the rumble, and the revolution. The first step, shown here as a tangled mess examined by a magnifying glass, is the reckoning. This is the exact moment we must recognize that a failure or piece of criticism has emotionally hooked us. You do not need to perfectly diagnose whether you are feeling shame, anger, or disappointment right away. The only requirement here is to get curious and open a line inquiry into why your body and mind are reacting so intensely. That curiosity leads directly to step 2, the rumble. As this diagram of colliding arrows illustrates, the rumble forces a messy, mandatory confrontation with the protective stories our egos invent. When we are hurt, the brain instantly attempts to make sense of the pain by creating what psychologists call a confabulation. A confabulation is a fictional narrative, complete with clear heroes and villains, designed to help us avoid shame and quickly assign blame to others. Surviving the immediate aftermath of a fall requires taking those reflexive, fear-driven lies and completely stripping them away. We have to be willing to look at our own boundaries and our own mistakes without the protective armor. To survive the rumble, we locate the delta. On the left is the erratic, fear-driven story we make up to protect our egos. On the right is the actual truth, flat, objective facts. The gap between fiction and reality is where true learning happens. Bridging that gap brings us to the final step, the revolution. As you can see in this graphic, the tangled, messy lines of our internal rumble eventually resolve into a clear, upward trending path. This represents integrating the hard truth into our daily lives. This visual charts the vertical flow from the initial fall, through the rumble, and straight into new growth. It works exactly like composting. By extracting the harsh learnings from our mistakes, we create nutrient-dense fuel that feeds future innovation. True recovery is never about bouncing back to the exact person you were before the fall. It is about metabolizing the failure and using it to revolutionize how you live, lead, and operate going forward. To maintain this new emotional footing over the long term, we have to operate from a strict daily framework of self-respect. This graphic breaks down that framework, termed living big. The equation has 3 distinct variables. We must establish clear boundaries, practice integrity by choosing courage over comfort, and offer generosity by assuming the best in other people. Together, these equal deep resilience. There is a central paradox to this framework. We cannot genuinely be generous and assume the best in the people around us if we haven't first done the hard work of setting boundaries to protect ourselves. And when you do that internal work, it has a massive external payoff. This image illustrates how a single point of action diverges into multiple parallel lines of impact within our communities and workplaces. When an individual visibly owns their struggles and tells the truth about a recent fall, it acts like a single drop in a still pool. It unknowingly grants permission to everyone in their orbit to drop their own armor and be honest. By navigating the physics of vulnerability, we build deep personal resilience. This visible work creates an environment where telling the truth becomes the standard and courage becomes highly contagious.